Hey there, it is April 28th, 2025. We live in Connecticut and I'm going to show you what I've been up to in our garden. It's been so windy here. I don't know or remember it being this windy all the time. Yesterday our power was flickering on and off. We didn't lose power. It was just kind of like going in and out a little bit, which was irritating. The day before on Saturday, we had so much rain. We could hear trees crashing out in the woods. Fortunately though, like I said, we didn't end up losing power, which we're very grateful for because we lose it a lot. I've got some plants here that I started from seed and peat pellets, and I have a bunch more down in our basement. I need to start maybe thinking about moving out to the greenhouse to get them hardened off. These ones I've just been putting up in our windowsill. We've had our windows open. It's been really lovely here, and with all of the wind, it just like has a nice breeze throughout the house. I've had these up in the window, just kind of getting used to some direct sunlight and the wind and things like that. So those I might be transplanting outside today. I think they're ready for it, and it's not super hot out. I think they'll be able to handle it. With the peat pellets, I've seen a couple larger channels post videos on how they think that they said that it was like a scam and not to use peat pellets to start your seeds. And I'm like, no, it's not. I start the majority of my seeds, not all of them, but the majority of them using the 55 millimeter peat pellets. And this year, some of them I potted up, but I haven't really had to. My pepper plants look amazing and they're in the peat pellets still. You just have to fertilize with them. And then I don't plant them with the mesh on. I peel the mesh off and I plant them that way. And it works out very well for me. If you don't have a lot of space to start your seeds, it is a huge space saver because you don't have to worry about bags of soil to start your seeds in or making a seed starting mix. And by using boiling water to pre-moisten the peat pellets, I have zero fungus gnats. Those little black bugs that fly around if you start seeds indoors, I've had none of those. I do use soil inside, pre-moisten that with boiling water, and I still have zero gnats. I would like to do a video on how to correctly use peat pellets. They are affordable, easy. You can reuse a lot of the materials year after year, and they do not take up much space. So in all my seed starting stuff, the peat pellets, they don't take up much room at all. And I usually get them directly from Fairy Morse's website, and they always have fantastic coupon codes. So I can get them much cheaper than I would at like Home Depot or even Amazon. I have all that stuff linked on our Amazon thing just so people can see what it is that I'm talking about, but it's not always the cheapest there. I'll put in a quick clip of what some of our plants look like right now under the grow lights. I've officially turned off all the heat mats. I don't need them on. The seeds that I have left to start are pumpkins and winter squash are things I need to start. And I am contemplating direct sowing those. I usually start the seeds and then transplant the plants out. I don't know. I have to make up my mind soon though, because it's at the end of April and I really should have done this already. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a walk through the garden tour, whatever you wanna call it, and show you what we have growing, some of the things that I've done, like right behind me here. So right when we walk in the garden is this enormous Vago garden bed that we built in one of our most recent videos. We built it to replace some of the rotting ones that we had that were original to the garden that we made. And I love this garden bed so much. We did realize after that we had the corner pieces incorrectly. We should have had them on the outside of the other pieces around it. but it's gonna be fine. I'm not gonna worry about it. We weren't about to take it all apart again to fix that. I normally grow sweet potatoes on this side, and then I would have winter squash on the other side that would be trellised over. I decided that I really want to commit to growing brassicas this year. I have a horrible time growing them every year. Kale is easy. I have grown broccoli in the past and it's wonderful, but overall Brussels sprouts I've never been able to grow. Cabbage has been difficult for me. So I decided that I was going to make a big commitment and use this beautiful large bed and essentially put one plant per square foot. I just kind of eyeballed it. Kale, Brussels sprouts, mammoth red cabbage, snowball cauliflower, calabrese, I think it's how it's pronounced, broccoli, and another variety of kale. One of the reasons why I fail is because we get cabbage worms on these plants and they just completely get destroyed. So I've grown full heads of cabbage before, but they are just destroyed to the point where we can't eat them, and I just end up giving it to the chickens. Vago Garden, the company, makes a cage for their 10-in-1 garden beds, which this is two of them combined. They don't make one specifically for this size. And the materials I would need to do it the way that I would want were a little expensive. And I already had this bird netting, and it just so happened to fit this bed perfectly. Also, a little bit over here, I had taken down a lot of trellising, which I'll talk about in a minute. So I had these really small U-posts left over. I stuck those in, put the bird netting over the top, and then used the really tiny garden clips that you can get at Dollar Tree around the edge, because the really small ones are kind of useless. So I can't use them for much. We're able to water through the mesh. Rain is able to get through it. They're able to get sunlight, but the bugs and things hopefully won't be able to get in there. There are some holes in it. I think this may have been one that we either used for our kiwi vines in previous years or our grapes, but I just kind of rolled it over itself in that spot and clipped it. We'll see if we're able to get something this year. I know we'll be able to get kale. We were able to get kale every year, but those also oftentimes get worms all over them, and I end up just using it for the chickens. So then over here, I'll start with the Greenstalk. I have a bunch of different herbs that I started indoors. I got lemon basil and sage and regular sweet Italian basil, and then I have cilantro seeds and dill started in there. I got some rosemary, red romaine, parsley. I don't know if you remember, but I had the tomato cages that are stacked up here. They're inverted tomato cages that I have zip tied together, and I do every other. So some of them have stakes that go down. Some of them are round all the way, and I put them down with landscape staples, and then I had bamboo stakes going across the top to keep it together. And that's how I was growing our cherry tomatoes, and it was excellent trellising, really cheap, great way to do it. But I wanted to switch things up this year, and given that I don't have a spot for sweet potatoes and winter squash now, I kind of wanted to give myself some more options. And then I took out all the trellising out of this bed. This one was for, we usually grow Roma tomatoes. So the Roma tomatoes are determinate varieties that don't really need high trellising. So it wasn't a good setup for it anyway, and I just took them all out. Well, on the outer edge of the bed, I have Green Towers romaine lettuce. And then on either end, I've got two different types of spinach. I've got giant winter spinach over there, and then the Bloomsdale long-standing spinach over there. Those were all seeds I started indoors. And then I have already direct sown some bushing garden beans. I have the Tender Green Improved. And over here, I think, is the Blue Lake 274 bush garden beans. So I just did like a little bit over there and over there, just to get some things started. All of my Green Beauty peas got eaten for a second time. I started new ones. They got all taken. I have a couple lone pea plants that just seem stunted. I don't know what they're gonna do. These ones are the blue shelling snow peas. I have to thin this out a little bit, but these are the purple top rutabagas growing on the end. Got some Kelvedon Wonder peas that are maybe 1 or two. I have the onions that I started from seed all the way around the edge of this bed. I had started them from seed last March in 2024. I just dumped them in this bed, and this year I dug them all out and transplanted them to the outer edge of the bed. They don't take up much room and they get plenty of space to grow. So we'll see if we're able to get some good onions this year. I did transplant a Black Beauty eggplant out here just to see how it would do. I have plenty of plants. I just kind of wanted to see if I was able to get it out here early. But here is a prime example. These are green beauty peas that I started indoors and I transplanted over here, and they were doing fine, but they can't really do much if they're getting dug up. I'm so irritated by that. And this is one of 3 beefsteak tomatoes that I have transplanted out here already. They're doing great. I started them from seeds that I saved from the beefsteak tomatoes that grew out of our compost pile in 2021. I have this one, and then there's 2 more. I have one in a container and one in another garden bed. Tall telephone peas that I was not able to grow on the other side of the bed because of a mouse again. And I had these started under garden cloches, these plastic ones here. I'm probably gonna water the garden a little later and then maybe stick them back on just to prevent anything from digging them up. Still trying to get some peas. Carrots that are sprouted, Napa cabbage, kohlrabi, some of the beets sprouted. They were very old seeds. Oh, I forgot to mention I started marigolds inside and have some of them transplanted out here. And I've also got some pak choi. Over here is our asparagus bed, and we have young asparagus shoots coming up. They're a little too small to eat. I'm gonna let them grow a little bit higher, and then I'm gonna cut them back. There might be a couple in here that I can maybe sneak out to eat this year. They're looking great. Love seeing the asparagus come up. Here's the oregano too. I forgot to show you. I kind of walked right by it because I'm so used to seeing it. But lots of oregano. I also have split that plant before into containers. I did it last year. That one's coming back. The thyme, I was rooted through the base and I had ripped it out of that bed when we changed it out. And I don't think it's gonna come back. We'll see, but I think it's done, and I might have to start some new thyme. I do have lemon thyme that's making a comeback. I need to cut back all this dead stuff and give it a chance. Our raspberries and blackberries are getting some leaves on them. One of the tulips bloomed. It was so pretty. A lot of our perennial flowers, bee balm, lavender, bleeding hearts, cat's pajamas. They're all popping up, which is nice. But I've got to get my sunflower seeds. Put my sunflowers and zinnias, I like to put them right in the middle of the garden, and it really attracts the bees, and they're so pretty. I've been cleaning up all the pots that were along here, and we're just getting ready to start clearing out behind here so that we can start building our greenhouse. And I don't want to place any garden beds over here yet. I want to do something cool around the greenhouse and maybe do different garden beds. We have tons of rock. Maybe do some more rock cottagey garden beds around the greenhouse and incorporate these big rocks and maybe a water feature. I don't know. I'm excited to figure out what we do with it. But that means I have all of these pots I need to go through and clean up and figure out where I want to place them in the garden. Here is our strawberry bed. I'm getting tons of flowers. I'm very excited to get strawberries. I was hoping by this point we would have expanded the bed. We just didn't get a chance to do it yet. We will. I'm going to expand it. I've talked about it before, I think, but I'm going to expand it all the way around and just make it a little bit bigger circle to give more space for the runners, because as many strawberries as we get in here, you can never have too many. Also got some all-star strawberries in this galvanized container. The ones in this bed, the variety is called Quinault, and they're an ever-bearing strawberry. They continue to produce all summer long. And these ones, the all-star ones, they're June-bearing. So they just kind of produce in June, and then that's it. I really like the ever-bearing ones because they give us a lot more strawberries, obviously. They produce a lot of runners, and we just always have a lot of plants. Now, it only started with, I think we had like 3 plants in the very beginning. Now we have this large bed. And speaking of 3 plants, these are the white Carolina strawberries. I think they're growing. We got these as bare roots last year. And out of the 10 bare roots, we got 2 of them to grow. And then one of them shot off a runner. And now we have these 3 plants. So I'm hoping, even if they don't give us strawberries, we at least get some more plants from it, and eventually strawberries. So, patience. Patience is key. Yesterday, Steve and I built these beds. I had pieces left over because I combined 2 of the 10-in-1 beds from the Vago garden beds. With the pieces left over, I combined it with another 10-in-1 kit to get 2 2.5 foot by 7.5 foot beds. And then the remaining 10-in-1, I made a 2.5 foot by 9.5 foot bed. I just haven't figured out how I want to place them yet. Where I put them, they're going to probably stay forever. So I need to figure out where I want to put them. And I didn't want to put them over by the new greenhouse because I don't know what design I want to do. If I just want to keep it all rock gardens around the greenhouse and then have the garden beds over here. Too many possibilities. It overwhelms me. Strawberries in there, in that messy galvanized container. Got the ginger in there now. I did have the ginger in this fabric pot, but when I went to move it yesterday, I ripped it and it all fell out on the ground, and so I had to move the ginger. Here's the other beefsteak tomato and some white radishes that are struggling. I've got carrots in there. More carrots, another variety of carrots, potatoes. Looks like this beefsteak tomato did not make it. Looks like the top broke off of it from something. I don't know if an animal did that. It looked fine yesterday, so I'm not really sure what happened. Maybe all the wind and rain, who knows. But that's why I always plant more than one in different locations so that this isn't as disappointing as it would be if it was the only one out here. That is Siberian dwarf kale, looking great. And with it exposed like this, it will probably get a lot of worms. I'll have to pick through the leaves. Sometimes I can get leaves that I'll be able to eat inside or juice. Oftentimes we'll just end up going to our chicken friends because they love the kale and it's good for them too. And there's always a ton of worms on them, so it's kind of a win-win. I've got green machine zucchini out here already. The plant was looking super healthy inside, and I planted it on a cloudy day last week. We had a string of cloudy days, and I love transplanting plants on cloudy days because they are far less stressed out. But we shall see how it does. I have more inside if something happens to it. And we have ruby Swiss chard over in this corner. Alaska peas. I'm thinking I'll be able to get peas from here. Again, planting in multiple locations in various mediums, like galvanized containers, helps to make sure that we get something. And over here I have French breakfast radishes. This is our garlic and shallots. The garlic is well overdue for fertilizer. I usually fertilize it with a granular fertilizer in April. I don't know how it is the end of April already, but I have not fertilized it, so I need to do that. So far they're looking pretty good. I know the soil that it's in is full of nutrients, and when we don't have garlic in here, I grow a variety of different things. Now they're probably about a foot tall. I have 3 different varieties of garlic growing. This one's Italy Hill Giant Ivory. It's all from garlic that we've grown in previous years. I'm thinking I might want to add in different varieties. So if there's a variety that you know of that we might like to try, please let me know so I can order it and have it for fall time. And I've never been super great at growing onions, but shallots are very similar to garlic for me. And I'm able to grow shallots. Lots and lots of shallots. And I regrow them from shallots that we grow in previous years. So that's how the garden is going. It is messy in some of the beds. This is where I usually grow cucumbers. I have to clean all this out. There's a lot of clover growing that I need to weed. And then over here we have our blueberries. We have wild blueberries growing in so many different places on our property, which we're super grateful for because they're delicious. But these ones we've planted here, I think the 2 outer ones came from Home Depot. This one in the middle came from Tractor Supply a different year, and they're growing so lovely and lots of little bells on them. Oh, hopefully we will be getting handfuls of fresh blueberries. Are just the best and super healthy. And lastly, I've got more potatoes in here. And over here, they're the Magic Molly potatoes from ones that I grew last year. And those sprouted really nicely. You can see the mud splatter up on the side from all the rain that we had. And it was pretty powerful rain. It was pretty strong downpours. So that's kind of it for how our garden is looking. Our kiwi vines are starting to get new shoots all over them. I did a fruit tree update yesterday. That is going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time. Bye.